I've seen people say Cairn is like Death Stranding if it was vertical, but to me it felt like a cozier Outer Wilds. Just remove the space setting and add mountaineering instead. I've been looking for a game that would make me experience this feeling again for a long time. Truly losing myself in its world, feeling true solitude, or being so hungry for any piece of information about the mountain or the people who attempted climbing it that I happily climbed for 20 minutes just hoping to find a little note that tells me more. And it was worth it each time. I cried so many times over characters I never even met and whose stories I've never seen, all thanks to beautifully written pieces of paper found next to their bodies. I've been looking at the screen for the past 2 hours, trying to figure out where to even start talking about Cairn. I wish I had like 5% of the talent writers at the game bakers have. I really want to do the game justice, because even though it's only been a few hours since I finished it, I already know this game is going to stay with me for a lifetime. It's one of my new favorites. It instantly took its place among my other forever favorites like Celeste, Disco Elysium, and The Cat Lady. Anyway, I decided that the more I try to write a perfect review, the more I'll just keep staring at my screen, so here we go. I will stop overthinking and go with the flow, just like how we climb in the game. Yes, Cairn is a climbing game. We play as Ava, and we want to be the first person to set foot on the summit of Mount Kami. And that's the whole goal. There's no map, no quests, no journal. All we have is our backpack, our climb bot, a view of the summit, and the ability to make our way up there from any path. You can start your climb from the left side of the mountain, or the right, or the middle. It's really all up to you. So there's a lot of replayability in that regard. I rarely replay games or rewatch things because I believe there are just way too many amazing things out there waiting to be discovered. But I think Cairn will definitely be a game I will be coming back to often. I don't know how I felt so at peace even as I constantly kept falling off the mountain and hearing the amazing voice actor scream at the top of her lungs. Honestly, if we could all scream like that every once in a while, something would definitely heal inside us. Of course, this being a climbing game and our goal being to reach the summit of this huge mountain, we spend a very big chunk of the game climbing. Most of the time you're on the rock, so you're not even seeing anything else around you. Your only focus is the rock and where to move which limb. So you would guess it would be boring to spend hours repeating the same action on the same surface. Well, no, I didn't get bored for even a second. Each climb you undertake feels almost like a puzzle you have to solve. There are so many ways you can go to reach the top, but one of them is usually the most optimal and easy route. There's a climb a few hours into the game in a crystal cavern that hits you in the face with a sudden difficulty spike. It's the first time in the game where you're unable to use pitons because they don't work on this type of surface, so it was the first time I was actually forced to learn the logic behind the climbing. I spent over an hour climbing and constantly falling at the same spot when I was almost at the top. Finally, I decided to take a different approach and climb the other wall instead, which looked harder to climb, but I managed to reach the top on my first try. After that, I felt like I could free solo the whole game. The logic just clicked in my brain and each climb gave me so much more satisfaction and started feeling even more like a puzzle. You easily get in the flow and climb without thinking much until the game gives you a gentle reminder that death is just a slip away by showing you that you haven't saved in over 40 minutes. I squeezed my controller with sweaty hands so many times when I was trying to place a piton with Ava's shaky arms, and the relief that comes after I managed to let go and relax is a feeling unmatched. I've never done any climbing, and to be honest, I don't know anything about it, but I feel like this is as close as a game could get. I love climbing games so much because of how serene they make me feel with beautiful vistas, and they usually always have a calm atmosphere you can easily lose yourself in, but none of them felt so intuitive for me where I truly felt like a pro climber. I can tell they really worked a lot on the little details. I was listening to the soundtrack as I wrote the review, and I kept remembering bits from my journey to the top, and it brought me to tears so many times. Somehow, everything I did in the game feels so nostalgic. It feels like a memory, like a journey I personally went on, and one that I'm recalling from my deathbed or something. The soundtrack is crafted as beautifully as the rest of the game. To be honest, during the game, outside of some big moments where the whole focus is on the atmosphere and the music, I was so locked in that I didn't pay that much attention to the music in the background. I think the atmosphere takes over. The wind, Ava's breathing. I think they intended for the music to be more in the background, but as I listen to it now with my pure focus, I have to say I love it. Last year I played Jusant for the first time and I loved it. While I don't think these two games are comparable gameplay wise, because Jusant is meant to be a more meditative game that doesn't really punish you and doesn't have survival elements. I remember talking about the soundtrack in my Jusant review. I loved the soundtrack, but I just feel like it didn't have that wow effect that would take the game to the next level. Some soundtracks really take a good game and turn it into a masterpiece, like Celeste's soundtrack, but I feel like this game didn't have that. For Cairn, I can say that the soundtrack is exactly what I would want from a game like this. I think I'm gonna be listening to it on repeat. It just touches something inside me. In Cairn, you can set up a tent at a safe point and call it a night when it's too dark or when the weather isn't good, but I mostly kept going unless my health bar was less than 80-70%, even when it was rainy or dark. I also learned after I finished the game through a YouTube video that you actually have a flashlight you can turn on, so I was so locked in that I didn't even see the flashlight button during my 20 hours of game time. So when it was dark in the game, I would just turn off all the lights in my room so that I could see the screen better, which felt very immersive actually. Anyway, during one of those climbs, after I'd been climbing for over 50 minutes since my last save point, it was rainy and dark and my pitons were broken and I was starting to freeze, and I didn't have any warm drinks or food left because unless you have a thermos, which you can get later in the game, the food and drinks you make stay hot for only 24 minutes. So I was feeling pure adrenaline as I climbed in the dark, unsure where I was going or if I'd make it or lose my 50-minute save file. Since it was dark, I could barely see the ledge of the mountain above and I knew that I was almost there, but I wasn't even sure if this was the place I should be. When I finally finished climbing, all cold and shivering, it was pitch black except for a light somewhere in the distance. I slowly walked up to it to be greeted by Marco, which is one of the only two people we encounter in this journey. I was so thankful and relieved as he cooked a warm dinner. Then we went to sleep and he woke us up in the middle of the night, which leads to one of my favorite in-game moments ever. The sky looks like this. I always wanted to see the aurora. After all that climbing, this felt like the biggest reward the game could give me and I instantly started sobbing. Then later when I wake up in the morning, I finally saw my surroundings. It was so dark when I arrived that I didn't even see where I was. It's this breathtaking, beautiful place and I'm once again breathless. Then we have this scene, which again is one of my favorite parts from the game.
What are you doing? Oh, sorry, I thought... I don't know. You meant to sing by yourself, is that it?
That's how it usually goes. Look, how long are you gonna follow me?
Follow you? Sorry, aren't we going to the same place?
There are so many moments that pulled on my heartstrings or made me smile, but I'm avoiding adding any late game footage because I think you should experience it without knowing much about it to have the maximum impact. The game is full of moments like these. The first time I saw a dead body, I was shocked. It was really unexpected. It hit me like a brick that, yes, this is a possibility. That might be us. That probably will be us. I mean, no one has ever reached the summit of this mountain, and as we climb higher, the number of bodies we see increases by a lot. It becomes an ordinary thing at some point, but each of them hurt me the same because there's always some note next to them talking about their family or their plans or why they were up there trying to climb this mountain. And just as I'm crying over these bodies, I loot their backpack because I'm in dire need of some tape for my fingers. I mean, to be honest, most of us are just obsessed with looting, aren't we? So, okay, I'm not gonna lie, I was just taking everything I see, even though my backpack was full to the brim. I was just shaking my backpack frantically to create space and take more loot while I was crying over the bodies. Then the game gives me an achievement called Hungry Like a Wolf because I looted food from a corpse. Then I started laughing, and I love when even the achievements make me feel something. Like first, I laughed, but then I felt called out and embarrassed of myself. I was literally acting like a hungry wolf. And some item descriptions also made me laugh, like the maple syrup that said something like, "You can find anything on Kami. Maybe I should keep this until I find pancakes." And I think this is all really well balanced. The humor, the frustration, the sad moments, nothing felt overdone. Even if I struggled climbing up a certain wall, I never got frustrated. I saw everything as a learning experience, and it actually improved me. I mean, it's not that I'm a super patient person, but I think it's because the game manages to do that balance perfectly. Nothing ever feels too hard. You always have this sense of, I can do it if I try one more time. I can do it if I just hold on to that rock instead of the other one. So you happily keep trying. I want to say that if the algorithm somehow brought you to this video, you probably would enjoy this game. Since on my channel, I mostly talk about slow, indie, and cozy games like this one. So if you got this video recommended, we probably have similar tastes. But if you're someone who just plays action-oriented games and you get bored even with action games where you have to walk for 2 minutes in silence, I don't know if this would be a good game for you. There's no action in this game, and mostly no one else at all. It's just us and the mountain. All I can say is that for what it's trying to do and be, it does it extremely well, and it probably is going to be my indie game of the year. I mean, we still have 10 months to go, so I don't know. I hope I'll play other games that make me feel the same amount of wonder I felt in Cairn, and I hope there will be many just as beautiful indie games, but I think I can confidently say that this is a strong nominee for 2026 Indie Game of the Year. In my initial review, I mentioned how cool it is that each game by the game makers has the same aesthetic style. You can immediately tell when a game is made by them, even though they couldn't be more different from each other, and they always try new things with completely new gameplay mechanics. Like in Haven, we were playing the whole game as a couple, whereas in Cairn, it's just us and the mountain. Then I read an interview with Emric Toa, the founder of the game makers, where he said Fury, Haven, and Cairn are a trilogy on the theme of freedom. Fury is about living freely, Haven is about the freedom to love whoever you want, and Cairn is about the quest for absolute freedom. And I was like, oh, too. So I think that's really cool. And I'm curious if Emmerich Trois feels like he reached his summit by ending this trilogy on such a perfect note. Me, I'm still at the very beginning of my path. I managed to climb halfway up the mountain last year and basically fell all the way back down and lost all my progress, so that's another reason why this game resonated with me so deeply. I'm at a phase in life where I have to keep pushing myself every single morning to work towards my summit, and we all just have to keep on going. So I keep going and I hope I'll reach my summit, and I hope you do too.